Right, and we are live. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Stuart from NetReady, and this is MLM for CEOs, the channel that is aimed at providing key insights to decision makers operating within this lucrative multi-level marketing space. In today's episode, we're going to be speaking about the 5 drivers that help us achieve critical mass within our network. And here to help me unpack that information is none other than my main man, Richard Sletcher.
Thank you, Stu. We're going to have to come up with another intro here.
Well, I'm trying a whole bunch of things here. It was The Godfather, all this experience. My main man. How's it going?
Yeah, no, good. Fantastic. Really.
I love this episode that we're going to be discussing because it talks about how we can inspire and motivate and really build our network so that we can produce a successful business. The 5 drivers.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I came up with this concept donkeys years ago, and it's played out over the years that I've realized that these 5 areas are actually critical to the success of your business. And so can we list the 5 areas?
Yeah, of course. Let's high level them and then we can just dive into them.
So you've got your products, your compensation plan, incentives, recognition, and social.
Correct.
Those are the 5 drivers.
Yeah.
What has been interesting over the years that I've discovered is that the owner of the company will be driven by one of those. So we've got company owners who come to us who are driven by money.
Sure.
And then they believe everybody who ever signs up in their network is going to be driven by money. And they cannot fathom that somebody would have another motivator. Then we've got guys who are driven by their product. You know these guys that come in and they just like wax lyrical for hours about their product.
Yeah.
And they think everybody is going to be driven by how awesome their product is. They cannot imagine that people will have another driver.
Right.
And then we've got guys who come in here are highly social. You know, they just want to help people. Their whole business model is how can we help as many people as possible? And they cannot believe that anybody would be motivated by anything other than that. And the problem you have is that the owner of the company focuses on the driver that drives them.
Right.
Without realizing that every human being who comes through their door is not them and is not necessarily driven by the same things as what drives them.
Sure.
And so they don't put in play the strategies that grow their business with all of their people.
Yeah.
And so what they land up is with a group of people who are driven by what they're driven by. So if they're driven by money, they have all the money grubbers there.
Sure.
If they're driven by social, they've got all the bleeding hearts there.
Yeah.
Now, all of these people are wonderful, but you need to drive every single segment of your business, not just the segment that you understand and have insight into. Excuse
me. I see it all the time. And when clients come into the office, I can pick up within the first couple of minutes which driver they are motivated by. And most of the time, it's either money or the product. But there are so many other, the 5 drivers that are so important. And as a business owner, you need to be very conscious of the fact that not everyone's driven by the same thing that you are.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of, let's work on the percentages. Now, what happens if me as a company owner, if I only cater for someone that's for the product conscious drivers and the monetary drivers, so earning through the comp plan,
commission plan. So it's the commissions,
yes,
and the product.
Yes.
Okay, so that's generally that. If you have a look at 90%, I don't know what the percentage is, but the vast majority of our clients, I would say, are driven by product and money.
Yes.
That's kind of, they're business owners, they're A-type personalities, product and money. But this is the one area where the Pareto principle is most readily exposed because you're dealing with an army of people. You could have 30, 40, 50,000 people in your network. And you will notice that the Pareto principle applies. So 20% of your people, it's the 80-20 principle.
Sure.
If you, for those people who don't know what the Pareto principle is, 80-20, 20% of your people are focused on commissions. 80% not focused on commissions at all. That's not what drives them. Now, there's obviously crossover. Some people who are focused on the product would also be interested in the money. But their dominant driver will be, for example, product, and it's 20% of the people, Pareto principle. There's those people who are highly social animals. They're the first to come to the meetings. They're the last to leave. They'll pay for somebody to get into the business to help them. They're conscious of the social responsibility side of the business. That's 20% of your people.
Sure.
And of course, the same applies for incentives. You've got those 20% who are highly competitive. You put a competition together and they're all over it.
Yeah.
Do nothing all year. Competition comes and they're all over it, and they're the guys that win the competition because they're so competitive. And then if you've got those people who crave recognition, they're the kind of people who want to wear the badges, who want to stand up in the front of the audience, who want to sit in the special seats, the priority seats, who want to get recognized on the website and the newsletters. And again, it's 20% of you people. So if you are catering for just the product and the money, the commissions,
right,
you're only focusing on 40% of your people. Now,
right.
Unless you've got some miracle product and some incredible miracle commission structure that's never been seen on the planet, what happens is even those people who you're motivated by the money or motivated by the product, you're only hitting them at maybe 75%.
Sure.
You can't hit them 100% because no product is perfect, no commission plan is perfect.
Yeah.
So let's say you're getting 15 out of 20 for product and 15 out of 20 for compensation.
30.
Now you got a 30% business. And then the companies come to us and say, I cannot understand why my business is growing. Well, you're only tackling 40% of your potential market, and you're only doing it at 75%, which if you're doing it brilliantly, you're doing it at 75%. So you're scoring 30 out of 100 for your business. Why do you think it's failing? It's because you're not focused on what makes this business cook.
Sure.
You've got to focus on every single segment of your market. You've got to make sure that every area that you focus on, you're doing to an incredibly high standard. If you're running incentives, they need to be brilliant. You need to have a strategy around it. You need to be communicating on it. You need to be driving it properly. If you're running recognition, it needs to be managed. It needs to be measurable. People need to know what they need to do to get recognized. You need to have badges, and you need to have strategies to deal with that. And it needs to be done at an extremely high level. Because what you should do is you should take your 5 drivers, put down total possible marks 20, and then mark yourself out of 20 as to what you're doing on each of these drivers.
Sure.
And then add up your total.
Yeah.
And you should be getting 75% and over across the board if you want to run a successful business. If you're only doing commissions and products, well, the chances are you're not going to succeed.
Yeah, it's a beautiful grading system to be able to do that, because you can sit back and look at those 5 drivers. And I know the company owners that are listening to this now, they're going, well, I've got a great product and I've got a good comp plan. Well, I'm sorted here.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're only achieving 75% of those two, then you're only achieving 30 out of 100 as business performance. And that's not going to cut it.
Yeah. Well, you're going to fail for sure.
Yeah.
If you have a look at the big companies, the Whales, the Amways, the Herbalifes, the GNLDs, all of these companies, and you go and look at their recognition strategy, they've got massive recognition strategy. Amway, you can become a pace setter. If you sign up 2 people, they will bring you down to the front of the stage, get you to walk across the stage while the audience cheers. Now, I've seen people at Amway meetings who will walk across glass to walk across that stage because they're so desperate for recognition. And so if you have a look at their incentive programs are amazing. They take their people all over the world to these exotic getaways and trips and travels, etc. So when it comes to these drivers, again, they've got to be measurable and they've got to be done to an extremely high professional standard. So if you've got to be extremely professional. You wouldn't think of going in with a crummy product. You want your product to be brilliant. Your brochures and your posters, everything around your product are going to be excellent. Same with your compensation plan. You're going to believe heart and soul in your compensation plan because you're going to think it through, and it's going to be perfect, as close to perfect as you can get it. Well, you've got to put the same attention to incentives, recognition, and social.
Sure. I mean, it's crazy because you just as I said before, you got those 2 things that you think is just going to build your business, but there's so much more to think about. I mean, what if I don't know as a company owner? What if I don't know how to do those things? Do I just go out and get consulting advice on how to put all of the stuff together? Because incentives, I mean, how do I run an incentive?
Yeah, look, I mean, it is challenging, and there's not a lot of sort of information out there to do it. Yeah, because the companies who are doing it, they obviously don't want to share that information because it's their competitive edge. The consultants will share it with you, but they're expensive. I mean, I do consulting with companies, and it's a couple of $1,000s a day to get that information. So you can pay consultants to come in. But what we've done on MLM for CEOs is we've got these deep dives into like incentives, recognition, social, etc.
Yes.
And they're like an hour long. So what I would recommend is, if you are interested and want to find out how this is done, is to go to one of those deep dives and really go through it. We'll do little 20-minute exposés on this.
Right.
Sort of
Each driver.
A whistle wetter.
Nice.
But if you want to really dive into it, that is where you need to go.
Okay. Can company owners contact you directly? Well, just through the system and then set up some time.
Yeah, I'm not keen on doing consulting work. And for me, the MLM for CEOs is actually not about getting business. It's not about dollars for hours and all of that kind of stuff. So I would much rather that they went to the website, went through the videos. Everything that I know, I'm pouring into this, into these
podcasts, these episodes,
these podcasts and vlogs.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the information is there for them. Obviously, if they really want to sit down with me and have me consult with them, then contact get onto the website. But that is absolutely not the aim of this. I'm busy writing a book at the moment where I'm pushing all of this information into a book, specifically so that I don't have to consult to companies. I want to give them the information and let them go out and use that information to grow their business.
That was going to be a big bombshell moment. I wanted to build up the hype and anticipation, and then Richard is doing something. But now, here it is.
I just dropped it in there. Hey?
And like everything else, there was free information.
Sorry about that, Steve.
So you
should warn me about these things.
I should have. So we've spoken about the products and how exceptional they need to be, and all the training and the marketing collateral around those products. We've spoken about the comp plan, and no comp plan is specifically unique, but we need to find a comp plan that benefits not only the company, but really benefits the people that are driving the sales and the growth, which is the network. Then we started speaking about incentives and how we put these packages together. We've done a big deep dive on this. It's about an hour long in one of our other episodes. I want to just focus quickly on recognition, and then I want to go into social. Because what I'd like to do with you, Richard, in social, I want to start another episode that I want to do next week or the week after.
To get into the social side.
To get into the social. Yeah. But let's high level both of those, because for me, something like recognition, I would get into a network for that. I'm driven by the love language of words of affirmation. If I do something, if I do something, then to affirm what I've done, Richard will say, "Hey Stu, thanks so much for doing it. You did an excellent job." I mean, the gratitude that I feel and the motivation I have after that, that'll keep me going in the business. So recognition is a very important part, and that's 20% of your network.
And you can relate to that in particular.
Exactly.
So I never really thought about it in terms of the love language, but you're right. It's the words of affirmation. That's a brilliant book people should read, The 5 Love Languages.
Love that book.
Absolutely excellent book. And who's it by? Do you know?
I'll pop it into the episode.
Okay.
Into the body.
So the bottom line is, though, that words of affirmation, 20% of people are driven by it. And so when you're doing recognition, that's what you're doing. Now, there's a couple of key things. Incentives, recognition, and social, you do not do any of those by paying money.
Yes.
Okay? So there's no cash transaction there. With your compensation plan is where you pay the money. Incentives, there's no money to be paid. All of the money you're going to be paying out is paid in the compensation plan. So you are going to pay your commissions out, and that's the only money you pay out. When it comes to incentives...
So how does it work? Do you build in a percentage into your comp plan for incentives?
So you build in a percentage into your comp plan for incentives. But remember, the incentives is about getting your key leaders together,
right, so
that you can train and motivate them. That's what an incentive is for. So you might run an incentive where you're going to take everybody off to some exotic island. So you take your top leadership, and we'll get into it. You don't take wives along, you don't take children along, just the top leadership. You go away to some exotic island, wherever it is. In South Africa, we'd go to Mauritius. You then have your people together for 7 days or whatever it is. And the reason you do the incentive is so that you want to reward your people for doing something exciting. But what you want to do is you want to find out who those top, most competitive players are. You get them away, and then you spend 7 days with them doing team building, educating them, training them, motivating them, creating some sense of belonging within the organization. You don't give out cash. There's a lot of companies I see that just dole out cash. Oh, we're running this incentive. You can earn an extra 500 Rand if you do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's your compensation plan. You shouldn't be mixing the two up. And now with recognition.
So last question on incentives. I know we've done the deep dive, but do we have a winner takes all competition? So there's one man or lady that just wins everything.
Now, what you want to do is you want to peg your competition so you can take the top sort of maybe 2% or 3% of your people away.
Okay.
So if you can take the top 3% of your people to some exotic island, if you've got 100,000 people, then you're taking 3,000 people with you.
Sure.
Okay. So that's kind of what you want to target, that you want to have a group of people with you at wherever you're going so that you can train those people.
Okay.
Obviously, 3,000 people is too many to take away at one time, so you'll divide those up and you'll take them in separate groups.
Yeah.
But the idea is to take as many people as possible, so you're building that culture within the business and where you can educate them and, as I say, get their sense of belonging. Because remember, the guys who are motivated by money, they are your worst, by far, your worst networkers.
Sure. Because
I bring you on because of the compensation plan. And I show you how the compensation plan works, and I show you how much money you're going to make. And then when you don't make a lot of money, what do? You look for the next shiny MLM business and you jump ship. So those people who are bringing on people purely based on the money, what they land up with is a bunch of guys who are going to bounce from one network to the other.
Yeah.
You create no loyalty. They don't stick in the business. You know, they can get up and going fast, but they also disappear fast. If you want to build a long-term, stable business, you've got to build it on the back of people who are going to stick around. And you have to create a culture. You have to create a belief system. You have to create an overall offering that is touching them in multiple places. So they need to have an incentive that they potentially could go on, or they need to be recognized to the moon and back.
Sure.
They need to be getting these awesome products and getting trained on the products, and the products need to be moving. They need to have people below them that are keeping them in the business. So there's a lot of things that need to happen. And so that's, again, another reason why you don't want to focus on just the commissions. Because those guys, they come, they're looking for a quick buck, and then they're gone.
Yep.
And so you don't want, that mustn't be your key focus.
Yeah.
Is the point
we've seen it so many times.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
One of our clients came to me and said, you guys are supplying the NetReady system to one of our opposition companies. And we want you not to supply it. I said, well, we can't not supply our software. We're a software provider. Anybody who wants to use our software can use it.
Sure.
And they're now upset because somebody else is using the NetReady system and is now in competition with them. But I said to them, look, if you want to keep your people, you've got to stop focusing just on the money. You've got to have incentives and recognition and all of those kind of good things to keep your people actually focused on the business and keep the people in.
Sure.
If you don't have those things, all they're going to do is bounce to another company.
Right.
So it's not our job to keep your people loyal to you because you've got a unique piece of software. It's your job to keep your people loyal to you by doing the 5 drivers really well.
Right.
And the company who does the 5 drivers best is the one who keeps the person.
Keeps the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. If you've got a brilliant product, paying good commissions, you're running an excellent recognition and incentive program, you've got a great social program, you will keep your people. You will develop loyalty and culture within your business.
And you said it before, that's how the big whale MLM businesses are doing it.
And that's how they keep their people.
They're achieving the 5 drivers.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the last thing, we've got 5 minutes left. So the last thing that I want to do, we were touching on was
was going to be the social.
The social.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a deep dive on, well, not a deep dive, we're going to do
another episode
an episode on social.
Sure.
But there are so many people that you can get in who will stick with your business if your social program is really good.
Yeah.
They just don't move. If you've got a social program that they can relate to, you've got them. They don't go. If there are people who are passionate about trees and you're planting trees, you've got them. If they are like with Acorn Kids, we were in Cotlands, we were helping with small babies.
Sure.
The people who came to our business with that social mindset, they stuck.
Yeah.
And so we'll do a deep dive into that. But the social side of the business is so, so important for those people, for that 20%.
And that extends past just social responsibility. It's social engagements and environments and events. So
get-togethers, meetings, home
Exactly.
meetings, etc. Yeah,
okay.
there's a whole lot of things that go into social.
Because I can understand if I was a distributor, besides the team that I was speaking to, my downline, you know, I feel like I'm running a business by myself, and I'm managing the teams at a stretch, but I'm not engaging all the time with them. So when you have things like events, it's a coming together of like-minded people.
Exactly.
And I mean, you can just imagine what happens after that.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Exactly.
Richard, thank you so much for that.
Brilliant.
5 drivers inspire growth and loyalty within the network. Yeah, how's that?
Nice line.
There we go.
Nice line.
Thank you so much for your time. Guys, thank you so much for your time and joining us for this episode. I hope you got key insights into this incredible and lucrative industry. Please follow us on all of our channels. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify. If you're sitting in your car with nothing else to do, listen to us. It'll be well worth it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. Bye.